someone came to substitute in your classroom, they would know exactly what to do. All right. So this you're gonna fill out. So this is the child directive activity plan. This is what it looks like. So this is the following format you're gonna use. So I have a blank format on there, and then I have one that kind of has the instructions. So you're going to put your name and date, and make sure that these are Word documents and not just like typing into Blackboard, that these are Word documents. And so, you're going to have to use the format, that blank format that was given. All right, so you're going to put your name and date that this activity plan was created. You're going to list the name of your activity. You are going to, what ages, so what ages are going to be participating in this activity. You're going to list a weekly theme or study topic. And so it's the one that you chose for the course that you're going to use for all your activity plans. It's the one that you told me you wanted to use last week. You're going to put type of activity, so child directed. You're also going to type, what activity, and for this one it's going to be art. Observation. So you're going to detail what you have observed or might observe in an early childhood classroom that relates to child's interests or developmental needs. So for example, if you've observed that a lot of kids in your classroom need to work on some fine motor skills, some grasping, then you would come up with an art activity that works on grasping and fine motor skills and visual coordination. And that's just an example. And so then your justification, so based on your understanding of child development and what's developmentally appropriate for this age child, what are you expecting the children to learn from this activity? And how will this activity meet their needs? All right. So you're going to tell me, and please use, the NC Failed book. That can be really, really, it can help you with your justification as well. And so then we do get to NC Foundations. So the developmental domain and goal that you are working on. So you're going to list the best goal and learning objectives that aligns with your justification for this activity. Only list one. We know that activity can address multiple goals, but please only focus on one. So, for example, so emotional and social development. So this lists the goal. Children demonstrate a positive sense of self, identity, and self-awareness. That's just one of the goals you could use. There's lots and lots of goals, and I like it because they kind of break them up under different aspects of development. So, and on page 8, 9, and 10, they kind of just give you an overview of the goals under each domain. And so you can kind of look at those, and then you can scroll throughout the book, and they provide more explanation. So please, this book is a great resource, and you need to use it for this project anyway. Okay, so assessment. What will the children do to demonstrate that they have met the objective or goal listed above for this activity? If implementing this activity, this is what you will intentionally want to observe the children engage in the activity. So what do you want them to demonstrate? That they have met the object or goal listed for this activity. So that is kind of the assessment of the goal that you had just listed. Materials. So you need to list every material or supply that you need for this activity. So this includes consumables, glue, tape, paper. If you're using a book, include the author, artist, or title. And that's more for the activity plans down the road, because this is going to be the same setup that you're going to use for all of your child-directed activity plans. This is kind of what you're going to be using. Area and setup and instructions. Explain what area of the room or outside area will be used in this activity in detail. So tell us how that area will be set up for your activity materials. In this case, it's going to be, the art center. So tell me how you're going to set up this activity in detail. You have to be very, very, very detailed. This is a child-directed activity and should be set up in advance in a child-friendly way that allows children to explore individually or in small groups. So you're going to explain in detail how you will introduce this activity to the children. And so you can use a visual aid. You can put I am going to use pictures to kind of explain what the children need to do. Or you can say, I will help them, model kind of what they can do. So, you may not be necessarily be physically with each child during the duration of the activity, so you might want to introduce and explain what you expect them to do. And I know some of you might not get the opportunity to do this with children, and that's totally fine. Tell me what you would do, right? You must explain the activity before you go into the area which you have the activity set up. And so you need to provide clear instructions with actual examples. And so if you don't have the opportunity to do this with children, that's fine. But just tell me kind of like, how would you introduce it? And how would you provide those clear instructions? So interactions. So explain how you will work with the children who choose to complete your activity. What will you say and what will you do as they work at the activity? Remember to focus on writing things here that will help you accomplish your goals and objective of the activity. So write 3 open-ended statements, questions that you will use to introduce and implement the activity. 3 statements, questions to guide them towards the stated objective. So how will you encourage the children as they do the activity? How will you encourage children not showing any interest in the activity? And then you'll write 3 encouraging statements that give authentic feedback on their efforts beyond any, kind of generic good jobs. For example, an encouraging statement or authentic feedback on a child that is painting, you could say, oh, you are painting, you're using red. I see that you are, painting the whole entire paper. So you're commenting, you're giving them feedback on, you're making a statement on what they're doing. You're being specific and, hey, they chose red, they're painting all over the paper. So coming up with these statements and questions ahead of time will help you be intentional of what objectives that you want to meet. All right, and so the next section talks about accommodations, adaptations, for various developmental levels of children in the group. So you want to think about the development level of children in the age group that you chose for this activity. So how would you intentionally scaffold the learning so all children can participate in this activity? What considerations do you need to make for individual child to be able to experience this activity and reach the goal you have set? And explain how you would adapt this activity to further accommodate children with known or observed challenges or developmental needs, and consider how you could adapt the activity to meet the needs of the children that are easily able to accomplish the objective so that it's developmentally appropriate for those children. And finally, resource, if one was used, if you don't use one, then just say, I didn't use one. But chances are you're probably going to use one. So list where you found the activity. So specific website, title of the resource book, magazine, curriculum. Since some activities may not have been researched, come from your own creativity, this section is not going to be counted in the grade. All right, so I know that is a lot. And so if you have any questions, please email me. And one of the things that I kind of wanted to say is, as you're kind of completing this blank one, kind of check behind yourself with these explanations and kind of going, okay, I did that, I did that, I did that, I did that. If you don't think something is detailed enough, you can email me ahead of time and say, hey, I have this for justification. Is this detailed enough for this activity plan? Please do that. I would rather you do that than not complete everything and I have to take off for it because you weren't detailed enough. And so, again, I know this is kind of a lot, but kind of once you get the hang of it, and after you've written a couple, it'll get better as each activity plan goes along. I will try to give you very quick feedback, so you'll have feedback for one activity plan before you have to write the next one. And so the good thing is I think there is a little bit of a break between this activity plan and the next one you have to write. So there will be some time for us to say, okay, like, what do I need to improve on? Like, what, clarifications do I need in writing these? Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. So I'm excited about reading those activity plans. I, have seen what everybody's theme is, and I'm really excited to kind of see some creativity. The one thing, Pinterest is great. 0 to 3, you might can find some activities on there. If you're kind of stuck and don't know kind of where to go for activities, email me. I'll be glad to help you in any way I can.